Welcome to Code Receiving. If you remember, this is exactly where we stopped last. We'll talk about flex flow, and we explained everything about flex flow. That is just a shorthand of flex direction and flex wrap. We gave you so many examples to prove that. So now we are going to another parent property of Flexbox. That happens to be justify content. When we say justify content, what are we talking about? And what are we going to look at for when we talk about justify content? Of course, justify content, this with alignment. Before now, talking about space and all that, okay? But now I want to talk about alignment, and that's another powerful attribute of Flexbox. It helps align items in a way that looks so great, so gorgeous. Think that ordinarily, if you want to use if you want to use like floats and the rest of them, it's going to take you a whole while, a whole work, a whole thinking. But alignment with Flexbox, alignment is very easy. So let's start with the first one, which is justify content. The justify content property says the alignment of items within a flex container along its main axis. Okay, and we explain the axis, that this main axis could be x axis or y axis. Okay, so what are we looking at for under justify content? 6 particular elements will be used in justify content, and the first one is flex start. Flex start show the value align the item at the start of the container. Let's just take a look at this point. I want us to each time we will talk about one, we solve it together, we'll go to the next one, we'll solve it together. Okay, so let's see the work of flex start. Like we told you, it shows this value, it aligns the item at the start of the container. Let's work with it and see how it is. Okay, so first of all, for us to align our item, let's leave the display flex to display to flex, and leave the flex flow to row reverse, and or let's just leave it at row. Okay, should be row and wrap. Let's leave it at row and wrap. Should be no wrap. Okay, let's leave it at row and wrap. So you can also leave it at no wrap. There's no cause for that, no problem about that. So control X, we just want to be on the same container. Okay, we don't want it to extend outside the container. So the next thing to do is your justify content. We'll do it for row, we'll do it for column. Justify content. And so the first one is what? Flex start. So let's start with flex start. Justify content, flex start. So did we see? Let's now save our work. Control S for save. Of course, what you see? no big change, right? Everything still remain the same from one straight down to the last box, right? Because this is flex start, okay? But so just for item flex start, we start arranging the item from your left to the right. From your left to the right. So it doesn't really make much changes, okay? So let's now go to the other one. We have to also move again and read the second part. Say flex end, okay? So flex end, this value will align the item at the end of the flex container. Just like we are talking about row, then row reverse. We start from the end, okay? So almost the same what we are doing, but this time around we are aligning them, okay? Not just moving them, but aligning them. We align properly, okay? So let's go and do that. Let me show you how you can actually achieve that. Very simple, just the way we did the one. So we put our flex start. So this time around, we just change it and put justify item flex end. Okay, so let's try flex end. See how it go. Flex end. And Control S for save. Did you see what happened? Of course, it worked. So instead of starting from, you see it went to the end and then start aligning from the end, right? Remember, at me it's going to be row reverse. Is that this number one and co we start? Okay, we start from here, right? Then we come over here. But because you are aligning flex end, it doesn't change this pattern. It still remains the same thing. But just that when the first alignment has been carried out, square alignment will also go the same way. So it has to go like that. And also, mind you, like I forgot to let you know that under our row reverse, even if you use row reverse, it doesn't change your SEO. Okay, SEO remain the same. Google, other search engine will search it the same number. We only the one that just doing it for you, but for the machine, they know how they calculate their thing. Okay, so this is how you work with flex end. Let's go to the next one, which is center. Okay, justify item center. When we talk about center, center aligns the value of the item in the middle. Okay, in the middle. And mind you, by the time we get to when we turn this sort of row to column, you see how it also center the column aspect. Now we already if to now is only on the row aspect. And remember, we say that Flexbox always work with one dimension at a time, which can be row or column. So right now, working with one dimension, which is the row, right? So let's go and do center. And say I will center all the boxes. Center. Control S for save. Did you see it? Everything well centered. Let me just enlarge this so you can see it very well. Just take a look at this. Take a look at this. Well centered. Remember when we are doing with when we are working out with clear fish, if you want to center item like this, you need positioning, you need a whole lot of things. But look at how it was well centered. Look at remember the project we did under positioning. You see how difficult it was? Oh, but look at it. With Flexbox, things that you have been sweating doing, you just do it easily, easily, easily. So this is wow the power of Flexbox. That's why you must take Flexbox very, very serious. Learn Flexbox because it will go a long way for you as a web developer. So let's go to the next one. Let's move on to the next one, which is space between. Now, the space between sets the value of the spacing between items in a flex container. Okay, and you can actually use space between to create an equal spacing between all items or to space items out evenly along the main axis. Okay, so that space between is just between each other. It doesn't work with the end though. The two end does not really concern with the two end. It's just in between each of the boxes. Okay, in between each of the boxes, that's where space between works. Let's do it and see. Justify content, this time around space between. So you put your space between, and you use your control S for save. Did you see what happened? You look at the space, look at the space in between, in between, in between, in between, in between. Why this is so big is because since they were already put into row wrap, so he has gotten to the final and he has only three boxes here. So you have to space in a way that these two space will be equal. This space we are seeing here is not actually from the space between. No, it's because of our padding and the margin. If I remove the padding like that, there's nothing here. Okay, so space between is just in between, in between, in between. All of them are equal, and this one that just three, this space and this space are equal. So that is the power of Flexbox, and that is space between. Please try to differentiate between space between, space around, and space evenly, because you come across this over and over again. So I can know if for example I'm going to build a website for a client, I want to be space between, you will know what to use. Okay, for example, like Google homepage, sometimes it may apply. When we get there, we may have a project on how to create a Google homepage, and then you will see how this will comes in. Why you should know your space between, space around, and space even. So let's continue this class. Let's go to the next one, which is space around. This value says the spacing between terms in a flex container to be equal on all sides. On all what sides, except at the items on the beginning and the end of the container, which have a half size space from the edge, and that is where the difference lies. Okay, remember, when we are dealing with space between, let's go there, let me show you something. When we are dealing with space between, you see that you say this space and this space is equal. What about here? See, there is no space at the edge, at the beginning edge and at the ending edge. There's no space. This we are seeing there is just the padding that we actually created. Okay, if you remove the padding, you find out there's no space. But what about space space around, right? So what about space around? We say space around was not like, it isn't like that too. For space around is going to create a space here, and then at the end, any space you see here will be half. Like this space now, it will give you half of this space to join this padding space, half of the space. Okay, why here this big space here will be half of the space will always be are the two edge. And where's your two edge? See your two, the one at the left, the one at the right, the two edges. Okay, so let's just do it right. See how this work. Space around, space around, and we do our Control S for save. And did you see it? So you see what happened here. So remember, we have a padding here. That's why it look as if they are all equal, but they are not, actually they are not equal. It's only half of the space that was given here. But if you come here, we explain it better. You see the edge, because it's just three boxes. See, half of it, which is half of this space, is given here, plus your padding. Then here too, half of the space. If you remove the padding, then just be only half of the space, half of the space. Why here is almost empty as what? As space between and space, because it's still equal. Okay, it's still equal, but at the edge it gave half. But for space between, at the edge it give no single space. You only concentrate with between the boxes, between the boxes, between the boxes. Hope is clear. Hope you are getting it. Please try and get it. Okay, so let's go to the last one, which is space evenly. Space evenly, from the word evenly, you understand it, right? Yeah, so this value set the spacing between items in a flexible container to be equal on all sides. Even distribution. Just like when you're talking about your mathematics, you have your odd number, your even number. Okay, even number can actually be calculated equally. 2 plus 2 divided by 2, those are even numbers, or like 3 or like 1 and the rest of them, which is odd number. So he did it evenly. Okay, evenly. So let's actually take let's code it and see what we're talking about. This time around is going to be space evenly. So justify item. So whether any place at all is, you just distribute it evenly. Okay, evenly. Space evenly. And rest for save. Did you see it? Everything is evenly. Okay, it's same equal space here is equal space here. The same space here is same space here. The same space here is same space here. Everywhere evenly. So we are through with row. Let's now turn it to column. We flash start, justify content. Let's make it column. Yeah, column and wrap. Okay, should column and wrap. And also I've also added a width of 450 pixels and height of 500 pixels. And if you also check, I've reduced the boxes from, instead of all 8 or 10 boxes, is now it's just 4 boxes. Reason is that if we make it middle or stuff like that, so I can be able to see it clearly. Okay, so we don't have much installation to make here. We've already explained before now all the items that are needed in justify item, and we'll do that. One is flex start, flex end, center, and also do that space between, space around, and space evenly. 6 items. Always have these 6 items. Always remember them, so I cannot think of how to apply them. Okay, so let's start with the first one using column now. Let's start with the flex start, and of course for flex start it won't show much differences. So let's just type it, flex start, flex start, and Control S for save. Of course, see it, flex start is just as usual, box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, from top to bottom. Okay, top to bottom. Now let's go to flex end and see how flex end will be. Flex end, like, yeah, flex end, flex end. Control S for save. See it? So now move from bottom to up. Now you came down immediately and give all the space up. You see the difference? Unlike when you are doing on row, plus and now it was on row. Look how it was now on column. So you bring it down to the end of the base, flex end of the base, flex start up of the, a kind of axis. You see that there's a kind of division, right? So let's go to the next one, which is center. Let's center this work, justify content, center, Control for save. You see center exactly at the center. From here up and from here down is equal. Okay, exactly at the center. So let's go to the next one, which is space between. This space between, justify content, space between. Control for save. This space between. You see all the space. Now this actually explains what we've been trying to explain before now, that you see at the edge, the two edge, there's no space in there. but in between each of the boxes it has equal space, but at the two edge of the boxes there's no single space in here. Do you see it? So no space at all. So what about space around? Let's say I have space around this, space around. I will give you half of the space in between the edges. So Control S for save. You see it? So this space in between, half of it is given to the edges, half of this is given to these edges down and the edges up. While every other ones are equal. Hope you understand the difference between each of them. Space between, space around, and space even. For space around, there's no space at the edge. You only distribute the space in between the for space in between. So distribute the space in between the boxes, no space at the two ends. But for space around, it gives space all around. But at the edges, give only half of the space it gave in between, it gave it to the edges. What about space evenly? Of course, even if you forget every other one, I don't think you forget space evenly. Because it distributes the space evenly, equally, okay? So space evenly. You see it, distribute it equally. So this is how we come to the end of justify content. If you like, this is all the thing you can think of when it comes to justify item. If you understand anyone, please kindly go over it again. You can also do research, go to your MDN docs or go to your dormitory schools, read, learn, add to your knowledge, and get all this knowledge, because as when we start building our website, we're going to make use of most of these things, okay? And so try to your best not to cram these things, no, not to memorize them, but to always try your best to kind of know them. When you know them and you know the application, that's what matters. You know the application, so at each time you have a need to use them, you know where it applies. And peradventure, if you forget anything, Google is your friend. You know, MDN is your friend. W3 is your friend. You went there, you do some research, and you come back and you decide you create what you want to create. So programmers, we are not good at cramming things, memorizing, no, but just try to know it and know how it applies. So if you like what we are learning, please kindly give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. You can actually support us. No, it's a free class by if you are watching us from Facebook, you can give us a star. It's from YouTube, you can subscribe, and also anyway, if you want to support us in other kind, let us know. I will also show you a way that you can actually support us. See you in our next class as we continue with our Flexbox. Bye.